Hey everybody. It would appear that as of February the 1st of 2021, I will no longer be able to have an opinion. It is going to be surgically removed. I went to see my surgeon for a pre-surgical poke and prod, and I honestly had mixed hopes and expectations. I knew that I was feeling much better than I had for, the last 4 months at least, if not longer. I was pooping and passing gas almost like the good old days. And, I have a lot of people rooting for me and praying. And I also know that God is directing this show. So I was ready for any kind of news he might deliver to me. Kind of. In my heart of heart, I wanted a full pardon, a miraculous healing. I wanted the surgeon to do his poke and prod and say, hey, look at that, it's all gone. I'll see you later, Bob. I also knew he might examine me and say, hey, not great. Doesn't look like the chemo and radiation has done anything. It hasn't responded at all. What he did report to me was that the large 9-centimeter tumor had responded very well to the treatment and was very much shrunken up. And as to the smaller tumor, he can no longer see it at all. So that sounds great. In my opinion, I was thinking maybe we had achieved a state of healing where we didn't have to go with a permanent colostomy. Well, as they say, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one, except for me after February 1st when mine's going to be surgically closed. So, as it turns out, not everyone has an opinion, so to speak. I have to admit that hit me pretty hard. Even at 63, body image is pretty important. Not as important as it was at the reverse 36, but it's still pretty important. And, it turns out that farting and pooping are pretty important for your psyche also. Now, if I can't make you squirm just a little bit with too much information, what fun am I having? You may have seen those last two things as just inconveniences that interrupt your daily activities, but they are very important bodily processes that can actually be pretty comforting if you think about it. And they certainly can also be weaponized against your kids going down the road at 60 miles per hour with the windows shut. Now, I know that is too much information, but you have to get a little of that here. It actually took me 2 days to call his nurse back to say, proceed with your pre-authorization. My surgeon had kindly offered to get me a second opinion because he knew that this news hit me pretty hard. I'm sure he could see it in my face. I texted my oncologist and tried to get her to say this extended surgery might not be totally necessary. But she said there's always a chance of microscopic residue and it could lead to trouble down the road. I do trust her implicitly. That's why she is my oncologist. So I gave the surgeon the green light. The funny thing is, it's kind of hard to explain. When I tell people that the big tumor is now a small tumor and the smaller tumor is gone, and then I'm going to have an abdominal resection with the placement of a permanent colostomy, they all say, great. And I think to myself, didn't you hear me say I'm going to have to wear a bag for the rest of my life? I'm going to have to be pooping in a bag that I'm going to wear on my abdomen. And then I started to understand this is another one of those forest for the trees thing, and you can go back and watch that video. I was focused on my biggest fear, and my biggest fear isn't dying. I know where I'm going when I die. I'll be very comforted with that. My biggest fear is having that bag attached to my abdomen. What I was missing, although I was going to be pooping in a bag for the rest of my life, I was going to have a rest of my life. I have a lovely new habit. When I'm physically or emotionally distressed, I take a big hot bubble bath, and it's great. I can relax and I can just think. This started one night when I was very physically uncomfortable down there, which was at the start of all this. and my wife made me a good hot bubble bath, and it was great. It has become so important that I keep plenty of bubble bath soap on hand and lots of candles to light so I can turn off the rest of the lights. And I use a scented Dr. Teal's bubble bath. You ought to try it. Dr. Teal's, Teals, and it comes in like, it's got eucalyptus and menthol and all sorts of different stuff, lavender. And, the candles, they really make the deal. And lots of hot water. I wish we had one of those eternal water heaters because it's a big garden tub. So one night while I was laying in the tub, I got to thinking about how is it I'm going to lay in the tub or get in the shower or get in the water at the beach with a bag attached to my abdomen. I was getting re-stressed again. Well, it turns out they make special belts and wraps, swimsuits, and waterproof bags that you can wear, and you can make a choice. You can have the discretion to let it all hang out if you're pretty uninhibited, or you can wear clothing that covers it all up without being overly obvious what you're covering up. So yeah, that's what I do in the tub now. I Google stuff about colostomies and colostomy care and colostomy fashion and fashion accessories, and I figure out I'm not alone, and it's not as scary as you might think it could be. And it doesn't have to alter your life as drastically as you worry about it doing. I will say there is a lot of room for improvement for anyone wanting to design clothing and accessories with people, for people with different kinds of ostomies. So come on, people, if you got any fashion sense, jump on that, because, well, you'd have to look it up. It's pretty plain stuff. Oh, and we call ourselves ostomates. Ostomates. I guess we had to have a nickname that would unify us as a force to be reckoned with. But I think it kind of sounds like an Australian telling someone later in Spanish, ostomate. Let me know if you get that. I think even Ostabuddies would have sounded better, but I wasn't an early adopter of this whole ostomy thing, so I didn't get to vote. So, about to work on the video of me getting a radiation treatment, and my son and I are still working up the courage to do the Death Nut Challenge. But I'm going to have to do the Death Nut Challenge pretty soon because I'm pretty sure I won't be able to do that after my surgery. At least that's my opinion for now. I love you guys.